Hey, good morning, Matthew. This is a quick demo video for you for your Corran horn by Space Junk Sabers. So as you know, I just got this done last night. Was a little too tired last night to do the demo, so wanted to get it done first thing this morning, and also too, I was making your blade plug. So you got a neopixel blade plug here. It was nice to set this up for a left-handed guy because I'm left-handed as well, so I'm always having to remind myself to make it for right-handed people. But so when you're holding it like this, this is the top really, right? So when that's facing you, the plunger that's right here next to your thumb, which would be on your right side, that's your activation. And then over here on the opposite side, obviously, is your auxiliary switch. So these were plungers. I went in, modified the plungers, the bottom of the plungers. I just drumbled a ring around them so I could put a C-clamp on them and keep them in place. And there's just a, I'll show you this chassis here. Hang on. I got about a million things running through my mind with this guy, and I don't practice these videos, I just kind of do them. But anyway, here's your chassis. So it does say Space Junk Sabers on this side, Solo Sabers on this side. You have a 28mm bass speaker right here. You've got a removable battery system, easy access to your board. So this board is not adhesed down. It's a nice tight press fit into the shelf. You can get to your card. You can push your card in and out here without ever having to take your board out. And then I did go ahead and put this groove in here for a piece of tape, electrical tape, vinyl tape, whatever you need to do in the future. Just in case over time, if you keep popping this board in and out, if you find that the shelf kind of wears out from a press fit, you've always got the option to put a piece of tape around here to hold the board. But as it is right now, I had to push that thing in there pretty tight, which is what I like to do so that it won't move at all on you. Now, if I were to slide this out, which I can't now, there are two switches here, tactile switches for the plungers. And then, I slid this in. I held this chassis in with a little bit of E6000 because I didn't want to put any additional set screws. I didn't want to put a set screw in the threads right here. I didn't want to, to ruin any of the aesthetics on the outside with anything to hold the chassis in place. So rubbed a little bit of E6000 on the chassis, slid it in. It is all of a one-piece chassis, so it has your switches. It also has your neopixel connectors there, your 7-pin neopixel connector. All that is in one chassis. So if I were to pull this guy out, it actually operate as its own separate Saber. Just doesn't look half as cool as it does when it's in this guy. Your set screws right here. So I did trim it down a little bit, but I gave you enough to get a good bite on your blades. But for your neopixel connector or your neopixel plug, it doesn't even need the set screw really. It might, over time, as you keep sliding it back in and out, it might wear down this blade material just a hair, but so you can tighten it down. But for right now, because this is brand new, it fits in there pretty snug. I had to actually sand it quite a bit so that it could be pulled in and out without having to, have any problems with that. But we'll go over that here in a second. So let's throw a battery in this guy. This battery will be coming with the Saber. This is a 3,000 milliamp battery, which is about it's about the minimum that you want for a neopixel. Just like that. This will slide over. Now you'll notice the dimension change right here in the chassis for the speaker. That's so that it fits inside the diameter of this pummel cap, because there is a diameter change about a ½ inch into this where the threads are at. So I did match that diameter change here in the chassis. So everything slides in. I didn't leave much room for playing in this guy. It's a pretty tight fit. I wanted that on purpose. A couple reasons. It won't let your battery jiggle around when you're swinging it. And then I also used the end of the pummel cap. You see how it's the same size all the way to this guy. That is an additional safety measure to hold everything in place, because this is an all-in-one chassis. So when you're slapping blades in and out, it's not ever going to move on you. The E6000 is going to hold the chassis, but it's just an extra little piece of comfort. So by this time the board's gone to sleep, so we'll wake it up with the activation button. Turn it on. Tap for blaster deflex. And you'll see the blaster deflex when you tap the auxiliary will be randomized all along the blade when you have a full-length blade. But then when you hold the auxiliary for blade lockup, you actually get that throughout the entire blade. So we're going to take this plug out. I don't have a full-length blade, but I do have this test blade right here. So this is what I use to test all my sabers, and we'll throw it in this guy. So with the blade, because this is my test blade and I've used it a lot, I've done quite a bit of sanding to it, and this does require me to use the blade retention screw. No biggie. That's what it's there for. So tighten it up just a hair. Turn it on. That sound you hear is your flash on class, or your, there's your flash on class right there. Now when you tap for blaster deflex, and you notice on a test blade, because it's only so long, you only see it every so often, because I did program the board for 138 neopixels, which would be a true 3-foot blade. But then holding the auxiliary for lockup, you get that. So I gave you a lot of different blade effects and colors for this guy. So when the blade is on and you want to change color, hold down your auxiliary and twist your wrist and then let go. You'll hear a spectrum. Now you can twist the saber like this and cycle through your colors. We're just going to cycle through them so that you can see everything's working good. Back to red. We'll find a blue. When you find a color you like, just tap a button. And then it will remember that color when you turn it back on. Now to change blade effects, hold down the auxiliary and twist your wrist like you did for color change, but keep the button held down until you hear this. Spectrum. Keep holding it.
Blade profiles.
Blade profiles. Now you can twist the hilt again to cycle through different blade effects. Some of them are subtle. They may not pick up on camera very well, but then others are, pretty obvious. Just cycling through. Hopefully you can see those. Maybe put it up next to my shirt. We'll go with a solid one. That's pretty close. When you find one you like, just tap the button. Just like that. Now along with you'll find different blade effects that look like they're solid, or they are a solid blade, but they have different pre-on and pre-off effects. So you see when I turn this one on, or off, how it kind of fizzles out, right? And then just shoots on. Now, a lot of sound fonts that you buy aftermarket and put on this card will have soundtracks on them. To play your soundtrack when the blade's off, double tap your activation button. When the board is on. And then you can have the blade on when your soundtrack is playing. It's loud. And then to turn off your soundtrack, same thing, double tap. Double tap. To get to your different sound fonts when the blade is off, hold down your auxiliary button.
Sound bank selection.
Now we can go up or down with either button. I gave you a Britney Spears sound font that I made. Actually, my wife and I made this, just kind of something funny, but I'll let you play with that by yourself.
Granny.
We're just going through them.
General Kenobi.
Crystal focus. Audio player.
Menu.
SD card. U.S. System menu. Exit menu.
Now when you find one you like, hold a button down. And that's how you choose your sound font.
Spectrum.
So, one last thing about your Saber. Let me get this blade out real quick. When taking the battery out, I made the battery shelf in here nice and deep. I didn't want the battery rubbing up against the inside of the pommel. And I wanted it to just have a nice, good, just a nice, good grab in the chassis, right? Where everything's all around it. Everything's really solid in this guy. To get your battery out, I have been taking a pair of tweezers that I've got that have a plastic coating in them because you don't want to touch metal to that metal contact there, and then just easily prying it out. Just pop it out just like that. Just because it's a little deep in there. If you got like a thick guitar pick or anything like that would work. But that's just what I've been doing. So anyways, this is your Saber. I hope it turned out the way you like. I think it's really solid. Saber looks amazing. And I can actually get this packed up and out to you today. Thanks, man.